What's a fact you know that often shocks people and makes them question how you know it? Michael Jackson's hair caught on fire at the exact median day of his life. He had a literal midlife crisis. What's really crazy, and I swear I'm not making this up, while I was reading this comment, someone in my office said it smells like burnt hair in here. And it does. Human noses can detect petrichor, the smell of rain on dry earth, more acutely than sharks can detect blood in water. Doubly impressive when you think humans can also detect geosmin, or the smell produced by some bacteria and algae in the presence of ozone and water, telling us how recently it's rained in an area. Pretty neat that it hasn't left us as an evolutionary failsafe for survival after all these years. No rodents in an elevator machine room. The motors make a sound only rodents can hear and frustrates them. A traditional PB&J sandwich can fit perfectly inside a VCR. However, it will not eject. Koalas have the same fingerprint structure as we do. Forensics cannot tell them apart. Unless it's in a koala's cage in a zoo, then I would say it's pretty obvious. They also have chlamydia. Anytime someone mentions palindromes, I immediately mention Lisa Bonet ate no basil. Thanks, Weird Al. Do geese see God is my favorite. If you truss up a dead body in chicken wire, tightly, then put in water, you will have more success of the corpse not reappearing. As it softens, decomposes, and bloats, the chunks will get eaten, the gases will be released, and no floating to the surface. Honey never spoils. Like, ever. They found edible honey in ancient Egyptian tombs, thousands of years old. Pick that up from a food science article I read. Coming across this fact always wakes up the dormant resentment I have for my mother after she tossed a massive jar of honey one of my friend's dads gave me. He was a beekeeper not long before he passed. It was the best honey I've ever tasted in my entire life. Her reasoning? No one was eating it, because obviously eating the entire jar in a short period of time is normal, and figured it was going bad. Welp, time to work on forgetting about it for the 1000th time, LOL. A group of pandas is called an embarrassment, and so they should be. I thought that's what a group of MAGA wearing diapers to a rally was called. I've gotten a few eyebrow raises for knowing that wombat poop is cube-shaped. I honestly thought that was common knowledge. The smell of puppy breath, various aromatic ketones probably associated with milk diet, is also what the inside of a puppy smells like. I'm a vet surgeon that does a lot of pediatric spays. Cannoli is plural. Singular is cannolo. Same with spaghetti. A single piece is a spaghetto. Chevy Chase quit his college band because he never thought they'd make it, and that band became Steely Dan. Polar bear's skin is actually black. They cover it with white fur to avoid ice. A polar bear's fur looks white, but it's actually transparent clear. Each hair is a hollow tube that reflects and scatters light, which makes the bear appear white in its snowy surroundings. Octopuses have 3 hearts, blue blood, and can taste with their arms. 2 hearts pump blood to the gills, 1 pumps it to the rest of the body. Their blood is blue because it uses copper hemocyanin instead of iron to carry oxygen. Each of their 8 arms has hundreds of tiny sensors that let them taste or sense chemicals in whatever they touch. People often get wide-eyed and ask, wait, how do you even know that? Amniotic fluid is primarily the baby's urine. Barnacles have the longest penis to body length ratio of the entire animal kingdom. They stick it out and flop it around until they find a lady barnacle to mate with. Please stop referring to Danny DeVito as the barnacle. 24 hours after a large blood spill hits the floor, you can use a dustpan and broom to sweep up the jellified fluid. What looks like static on a dead TV channel is actually remnants of the Big Bang, a background radiation left over from the birth of the universe. That not everyone participating in witness protection is automatically issued a new social security number. Man, who's left? I live in a Florida city that everyone assumes is a dumping ground for witness protection participants. No one works, everyone has a decent house, and there are a lot of small businesses where shady shit happens. There are about as many intersex humans born every year as there are redheads, probably more, and biological sex is far more complex than just having either XX or XY chromosomes, which are also not the only 2 possible options for sex chromosomes. An adult raccoon can squeeze through a 4-inch diameter hole. The human anus can dilate to 8 inches. 8/4 equals 2 raccoons. One 4-inch diameter raccoon has an area cross-section of 4 pi square inches. One 8-inch diameter anus has an area of 16 pi square inches. If the raccoons can conform to a wedge shape, they can enter 4 at a time. For greatest efficiency, have your raccoons form 4 separate lines. I know way too much about how prostitution works in Nevada. County licenses, 1099, not employees, no license procedure for men, only in countries with a population under 100K, etc. It actually takes about 5 minutes to knock someone out with a chloroform-soaked rag. I mean, that's what they say. They say it takes 5 minutes. In the film Harry Potter, the old female teacher turned into a cat during class, thus exposing her butthole to underage kids. As if showing her pussy wasn't enough. Orcas are a natural predator of moose. Every single person looks it up right away when I tell them and still don't believe it even after reading about it, LOL. Great white sharks have only one predator, orcas. Orcas, like humans, are true apex predators. Coyote hunting is big business in Pennsylvania, where they can be hunted year-round. They are classed as vermin or pest animals, I think. They often roam the suburbs in Pittsburgh looking for deer, outdoor cats, bird eggs, rabbits, turkeys, etc. You do need a license, but it's not expensive, and in some counties you can make $50 per head/pelt and $500 a day pretty easily. Our friend's son did this to help save money for college. If you were given £1 or $1 every second from the very second you were born, you would be a millionaire at around 11 days old. To become a billionaire would take 31 years. It's not so much that people are surprised how I know it, but it puts the millionaire/billionaire thing into perspective. I was on vacation in England a few weeks ago, and a tour guide was talking about a tunnel on the Great Western Railroad, at one time the longest rail tunnel in the world. I said, the work of the great Isambard Kingdom Brunel. He was to use a Britishism, gobsmacked. He wanted to know how I knew that. I had to come clean as an engineering history nerd. If I hadn't read that twice, I would have credited the Islamabad Kingdom of Brunei. Some people do not have the ability to speak in their mind. You know how you can talk to yourself in your own mind without actually speaking aloud? Some people cannot do that. I knew someone who could not picture things in their head. They thought that was just an expression. In the year 365, an earthquake off Crete caused a tsunami so devastating that it was commemorated as a day of horror in Alexandria, Egypt, until the late 6th century, over 200 years later. Most date rapists use Ambien instead of roofies because the real deal is illegal now. I know this because I did a deep dive into roofies because I realized I only knew what they were from like Family Guy jokes and wanted to actually research them. But it's a fact that really makes you sound like a date rapist for knowing it. I read that most drink spiking is done with alcohol, just adding extra vodka to a standard drink, so the person gets drunker than expected from the number of drinks they have. A generally known fact, but one which still amazes me. Queen Cleopatra lived at a time closer to the moon landings than the building of the pyramids. How to write a proper capital G in cursive. My bladder can hold more than 1 liter of wee. Ancient Egyptian beer contained tetracycline, an antibiotic that was only discovered in 1948. This was discovered by students who were trying to replicate an ancient Egyptian beer recipe. It was confirmed by archaeologists finding tetracycline in the teeth of mummies. Male elephants have prehensile penises. Essentially, the penis can act as a second trunk. Male tapirs have this ability as well. Poet T.S. Eliot is both the great-grandnephew and great-great-grandnephew of dictionary guy Noah Webster. And yes, it involves incest. If you see a gray or gray and white cat, it is actually a diluted version of the black coat color gene. Cats start out white by default. Their coloration begins at the spine and spreads out to the extremities, but it doesn't always get all the way through before the kitten is born. That's why you typically get white socks and white tail tips. Bananas are berries in botanical terms, but strawberries aren't. Blew my mind in a college botany class years ago. Stepping on a tooth has its own very distinct feeling. This made my feet itchy. Big Bird was going to be a passenger on the shuttle Challenger that blew up in '86. My friend Jasmine told me about this. He couldn't be a passenger because the suit wouldn't fit. Vegetables are a culinary term, not a botanical one. Most veggies are actually fruits, the rest are tubers and other botanical terms. Author Max Brooks is the son of comedian Mel Brooks. Female kangaroos have 3 vaginas. One exclusively gives birth. They can be perpetually pregnant. Male kangaroos have 2 penises. Also, newborn kangaroos are the size and shape of jelly beans. They crawl from the vagina to the pouch and finish developing there. It's possible for a female kangaroo to be fatally hit by a car and the joey survives unharmed, which is why it is advised to check the pouch of a roadkill kangaroo for an orphaned joey. Cats can mimic the energy of their owners. My daughter and I are reading The Hunger Games. At one point in the book, Katniss gets stuck on the wrong side of an electric fence with barbed wire. I gave my daughter well-detailed instructions how to get around this type of obstacle, much to her amusement. For context, I am an academic in an urban environment, not necessarily the type to know how to do this. She was shocked I had this knowledge. Starfish eat by inverting their stomachs out their mouths, then laying it on top of their prey. Digestive enzymes eat away at the prey. Native Americans also owned black slaves. The Little Einsteins episode that involved them bouncing around the planets to get Rocket to go to sleep came out just before the IUPAC declassified Pluto as a planet. TMNT 2012 has quite a few tokusatsu references. Nitrogen can kill you without you ever knowing, because your body only detects CO2. That wombats poop in cubes so it doesn't roll away, and they use it to mark territory. The smell of fresh-cut grass is a distress signal. Nowhere in the Bible does it say Satan's name is Lucifer. Some theologian in like 400 AD came up with a bizarre and entirely false interpretation, but people jumped on the story. You can differentiate rock from fossilized bone by licking it. Bone is porous, so it will stick to your tongue. It's not 100% accurate, though. You only breathe through one nostril at a time, and it changes every 4 hours on average. A pigeon will only eat a starburst if you chew it up a little first. Just to clarify, chew the starburst, not the pigeon. That pineapples don't grow on trees. They grow out of the ground on a stalk, and it looks ridiculous. Echidnas have 4 penis heads, but will use 2 of them at a time during mating. Chainsaws were invented to aid in childbirth. Orangutans take the same birth control as humans. Thanks for watching. Man, people shared some wild facts. That koala fingerprint bit surprised me. Which one blew you away? Drop it in the comments.